how did this lightweight dinosaur navigate the perilous late Jurassic environment spanning over 100 million ancient years? What evolutionary pressures forced this creature to shrink its massive ancestors down to merely 10 kilograms total weight? Did elongated hind limbs paired with remarkably short forelimbs transform this animal into a highly specialized sprinting machine? How could a fragile herbivore possibly escape the crushing jaws of massive theropod predators like Allosaurus daily? Why did nature equip this agile runner with broad, flattened teeth specifically designed for processing soft foliage? What complicated scientific debates surrounded this tiny dinosaur before researchers finally honored Othniel Charles Marsh with its name? Could rapid zigzag maneuvers across muddy ancient floodplains provide the crucial advantage needed to outpace deadly pursuers? Don't miss what comes next in this story. Watch to the very end.
Welcome, I'm Jonny Dony, and this channel creates dinosaur documentaries grounded in verified paleontological research. Today we explore the lightly built Othnielosaurus in the Architecture of Evasion. Monetization here has grown unpredictable lately, so the channel relies entirely on direct viewer backing to continue. Becoming a Patreon sponsor ensures every single contribution helps produce the next film. Link below. Please like this release and subscribe to stay updated on our ongoing research. Let us step back into the ancient floodplains together.
The Architecture of Evasion. Speed has never killed anyone. Suddenly becoming stationary, that's what gets you. Jeremy Clarkson. Jurassic Floodplain. Across the western United States, the Morrison Formation spreads in thick wedges of mudstone and sandstone. Roughly 155 to 148 million years ago, this late Jurassic floodplain forms a broad river system. Each sediment band records the Kimmeridgian interval. Mean temperatures sit near 18 degrees beneath marked seasonal shifts. Drier spells firm the arid floodplain mud, then heavy seasonal rains brim the rivers and spread silt across the flats. Conifers and tall tree ferns dominate the green canopy above. Broad meandering rivers carry sand and mud toward the distant coast. Backswamps and marshy lagoons pool in the low ground, creating a dynamic ecosystem. A contemporary pterosaur skims the open water, casting a brief shadow over the quiet, muddy channels. The plain supports a massive community of ancient giants. A sauropod herd grazes the far floodplain, their heavy footsteps shaking the soft soil. They browse the high conifer canopies, leaving the lower green ferns for much smaller herbivore residents. Among these giants, a small bipedal herbivore navigates the open channels. It relies on constant vigilance against a large theropod patrolling the distant tree line. This delicate balance of speed and awareness defines daily survival across the vast, open floodplain. Climate fluctuations regularly shift vegetation density across the sprawling landscape. Seasonal droughts periodically contract the green zones, forcing populations into concentrated areas. This dynamic geology and shifting environment demand constant adaptation for every resident species sharing the ancient, rugged terrain. This chapter reveals how late Jurassic floodplains demanded constant adaptation from every resident species. We welcome your analysis of these climate-driven survival strategies below. Like and subscribe to help us continue documenting ancient ecosystems. Our next chapter details how a 10-kilogram bipedal herbivore survived this exact terrain.
Bipedal species. This small species relies entirely on a bipedal stance to navigate the open ground. The body plan is remarkably compact, likely under 2 meters long, and expected to weigh near 10 kilograms. Such a lightweight frame demands constant motion across the dusty terrain. Elongated lower limbs propel the animal forward in rapid, bounding strides. Far beyond, a massive Apatosaurus shifts its colossal bulk through the distant conifers, emphasizing the sheer scale difference. The small herbivore darts between the giant trunks, utilizing its agility to cover ground efficiently. Pausing briefly, the creature crops tender green shoots near the soil. A broad-backed Stegosaurus lumbers past in the background, its massive silhouette rising high above the small animal. The contrast highlights a specialized existence built purely on speed and low-level browsing habits. Survival in this open landscape requires absolute vigilance against larger archosaurs. When a massive theropod approaches, the small animal does not stand its ground. Instead, it executes a sudden, explosive acceleration, relying on tight turns to outmaneuver the much larger Allosaurus theropod. The flexible tail acts as a crucial counterbalance during these sharp directional changes. By dropping its shoulder and pivoting sharply, the creature slips through narrow gaps in the cycads. The heavy carnivore overshoots, its massive momentum carrying it clumsily past the hiding spot. Safe once more, the bipedal species resumes its steady pace across the sunlit expanse. Its elongated lower limbs continue to drive the lightweight frame forward in a rhythmic, efficient gait. This specialized morphology ensures the animal remains perfectly adapted to its demanding world. Could a 10-kilogram frame truly outpace massive predators across open Jurassic terrain? We documented how its elongated hind limbs and agile pivots consistently evaded larger hunters. Support our research by liking and subscribing for continued analysis. The next chapter reveals how complete Armour Absence drastically reduced metabolic costs.
Armour Absence. Leaf-shaped teeth line the jaw, perfectly adapted for cropping tender ferns without complex grinding. A browsing sauropodomorph strips higher conifer branches nearby, illustrating an entirely different jaw morphology. This simple oral processing keeps the small herbivore moving efficiently across the open ground. Long hind limbs and short forelimbs show a primarily two-legged, cursorial animal built for speed rather than force. Robust pelvic muscle attachment sites on the pelvic bone enable rapid acceleration across uneven terrain. This specialized locomotor configuration prioritizes sustained velocity over brute strength. Unlike heavily armored contemporaries, this creature relies on a flexible spine and a complete lack of defensive plating. A small synapsid scurries past the planted foot, emphasizing the extreme body mass scale. The absence of heavy armor emphasizes a strategy built entirely upon evasion. The flexible posterior extension maintains perfect equilibrium during sudden directional changes across the open plains. When navigating dense cycad thickets, the tail whips laterally to counterbalance the shifting torso. This dynamic stabilization allows the runner to execute impossibly tight turns without losing forward momentum. Shedding heavy skeletal structures drastically reduces the metabolic cost of daily movement across the basin. Without a massive crest or thick osteoderms to carry, the animal conserves vital energy during extended grazing periods. Every single gram of saved weight directly translates into greater endurance. The lightweight frame resumes its steady, rhythmic pace across the sunlit expanse. Elongated lower legs continue to drive the body forward in a highly efficient, energy-saving gait. This specialized morphology ensures the agile animal remains perfectly adapted to its highly demanding. While earlier chapters detailed the ancient landscape, this segment reveals a complete absence of armor. We now see how extreme speed replaced defensive plating for survival. Like and subscribe to support our ongoing channel research. Next, massive Allosaurus hunters force these agile runners into deadly evasion tactics.
Predator threat. Two rivals clash over a cycad thicket, shoulder-barging each other for a better position. Neither possesses heavy armor, so the combat relies entirely on shoving momentum. The smaller individual yields ground, retreating into the ferns to avoid a costly fracture. A massive Allosaurus erupts from the conifers, its slashing bite designed to crush bone. This large Morrison theropod poses the main danger to the herd. The prey relies on agility and escape rather than physical defense, darting through a tight turn. Above, a giant pterosaur stoops toward a straggler, its wingspan casting a sudden shadow. The small ornithischian drops low beneath a horsetail bank, using the dense foliage for visual concealment. The aerial predator aborts the strike, pulling up sharply. A rival Ceratosaurus lunges at the retreating group, its jaws snapping shut on empty air. The theropod's sheer mass creates a devastating ambush threat, but the prey executes a rapid acceleration. The hunter stumbles on the loose scree, breaking off the pursuit. Back in the brush, a second rival challenges the victor, locking shoulders in a brief, intense clash. The remarkably lightweight frame allows the champion to pivot instantly, driving the competitor backward. The defeated dinosaur limps away, conceding the feeding territory. A land-running crocodilian launches a sudden attack from the shallows, its jaws snapping toward an isolated juvenile. The young dinosaur executes a tight-turning maneuver, slipping past the strike. The reptile crashes into the mud, and the juvenile escapes into the deep conifers. The survival tactics we just examined will soon face an irreversible environmental shift. Agility overcomes predators, but shifting climates offer no viable escape route. Subscribe to our channel so we can track these ecological transitions together. The next chapter reveals how vanishing vegetation sealed their extinction.
Lineage Extinction. Across the vast Morrison Formation, shifting climate patterns alter the semi-arid floodplain. A massive pier sauropodomorph strips high conifer branches, ignoring the drying ground cover below. This severe ecological shift rapidly reduces the overall abundance of preferred, low-growing plant species. The preferred low-growing ferns and tender shoots are now vanishing. The small ornithischian struggles to maintain its vital metabolic baseline across the once abundant local habitat. A rival, contemporary ornithopod, expands its foraging range into this marginalizing territory. The resident population faces intense competition for the remaining nutrients. This drives a severe localized turnover, as newly evolving herbivorous lineages occupy the available ecological niches across the rapidly drying floodplain. Prolonged seasonal aridity disrupts every stage of survival. Juveniles face heightened vulnerability as shrinking water sources concentrate both prey and predators. This causes overall reproductive success rates to decline sharply while adult survival probabilities diminish across the remaining isolated habitat fragments. This terminal ecological pressure drives the local population into isolated pockets. A large contemporary local theropod exploits the fragmented groups. However, the true threat is starvation as the landscape turns completely barren, sealing the ultimate, inevitable fate of these highly specialized foragers. Ultimately, this severe localized turnover leads to complete lineage extinction before the end of the Jurassic fossil record. The small herbivore vanishes entirely from the Morrison ecosystem. It leaves behind only fragmentary fossils that clarify early Neornithischian anatomy and complex taxonomic classifications. This chapter confirms that prolonged aridity and niche competition drove the complete regional extinction of this lineage. We invite your perspective on this ecological turnover below. Like and subscribe to support our ongoing research. The next chapter shows how their fossilized bones finally resolved decades of taxonomic confusion.
Fossil record. A living ornithopod crops ferns near a drying Morrison channel, its slender ribs flexing gently beneath the skin. This hidden anatomical datum is rarely preserved in the fossil record. The small herbivore remains entirely focused on the sparse vegetation. Exhaustion claims the last individual of this local population. The small herbivore perished alone in the shrinking mud, its body rapidly sinking into the fluvial sediment. Scavengers gather briefly, but the heavy silt quickly seals the fallen carcass away from the air. Modern birds scratch the same ancient dirt, a living reminder of how the Mesozoic shaped every archosaur that followed. Meanwhile, centuries of mudstone accumulate over the skeleton, transforming bone into stone. The fossil record of this tiny runner begins its long sleep beneath the brushy basin member. No lineage survives to inherit this cursorial anatomy, but the exposed fragmentary remains enter the complex history of American paleontology. Early researchers assigned these bones to multiple genera, including Allosaurus and Nanosaurus, creating decades of taxonomic confusion. The incomplete material obscured its true identity. Today, living birds fly overhead while researchers separate this distinct taxon from its historical synonyms. They recognized unique pelvic and vertebral features that justified a new generic classification. The recovered specimens finally revealed a coherent evolutionary position within the basal ornithopod family tree. Othnielosaurus honors Othniel Charles Marsh, one of the founders of American vertebrate paleontology. This naming reflects the genus's complicated history and repeated reassignment. The resolved taxonomy secures its legacy, proving that even fragmentary stone preserves the vital key to early Ornithischian diversity. Our exploration of this ancient floodplain concludes with resolved taxonomic classifications. We now understand how scattered fossils clarify early Ornithischian evolutionary pathways. Please like and subscribe to support our documentary research. Browse our channel to examine more prehistoric ecosystems.
The Architecture of Evasion times concludes our journey through the Late Jurassic, where times Othnielosaurus times mastered survival through pure speed. Thank you for spending this time exploring how this agile herbivore navigated ancient floodplains and evaded relentless predators. If you appreciated this deep dive, please subscribe to my channel and comment with your favorite paleontological insight. My Patreon supporters Receive every new dinosaur documentary a full week before the public release, link below. I also want to extend my deepest gratitude to the loyal sponsors and members who fund these projects. In just a few seconds, two equally fascinating dinosaur documentaries will appear on your screen for immediate viewing. Continue your prehistoric exploration and let the ancient world inspire your next great discovery.